As you get closer to your labor and delivery, you're gonna be wondering what are contractions gonna feel like. And this is totally normal. Every first-time mama is wondering what are contractions gonna feel like because they are totally unknown. They can make us really nervous, and there's tons of horror stories around birth. And so for you to want the answer to this question in a straightforward way is awesome for you so that you're educated and you know what to expect. So in today's video, I'm gonna dive into what are contractions, what are they gonna feel like, and then also, what are they gonna feel like in every phase of your labor? Because the contractions are actually gonna change in how they feel. And then I'll also drop in some tips of how you can get through all those contractions in every phase of labor to manage the pain and keep labor going. So if you're excited about that, hit the thumbs up. Also, if you're new here, go ahead and hit the red subscribe button. I put out 2 new videos every week on pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. And I'm Haley with Let's Mama. I can't wait to have you as a part of the tribe. If you are a subscriber, hi and welcome back. And without further ado, there's just 2 things you guys need to know before we dive in. First, I have a free labor and delivery course, and it's, like I said, it's totally free. So grab that below. You have nothing to lose. Free labor and delivery course where I go over all the questions about your labor and delivery. So check that out below. I also have free pregnancy guides that I always link below in my videos. They have information on epidurals, induction, hospital bag checklists, a breastfeeding tracker for when baby does arrive, all kinds of goodies. So check out both of those below and grab those for free, and let's figure out what these contractions are gonna feel like. Okay, so before we can get into what contractions are gonna feel like, we need to know what the heck contractions are. So basically, the contractions are your uterus tightening and relaxing. And this is going to happen even before labor begins. These are known as Braxton Hicks, and you guys can check out a video about Braxton Hicks right here. So if you're wanting to know the difference between false labor and real labor, that video will be really helpful for you. But as far as real contractions go, which we're covering in this video, they're going to grow closer together, they're going to become stronger, they're gonna be equally spaced apart, and that's how you're gonna be able to tell that they're real labor contractions. So how I like to describe contractions are like a wave. So this is a very common analogy in the birthing arena. And basically, if you picture a wave in the ocean, you're going to picture, the wave is gonna start to pick up and bring in more water. And you're gonna start to just climb, and it's gonna get bigger and bigger until it peaks before it starts to then crash and fall. And then it's gonna wash up onto shore and then wash back away before another one comes. So that's kind of what your contractions are going to be like, and kind of a visualization that you can use throughout your labor as you're kind of getting your way through each contraction. Just picturing that image in your head can be really helpful. So at the peak is when we're gonna feel, the most intense pain, and then just knowing that it's going to, crash down then and then wash away. That's where our breaks are that we cherish so much. So during these contractions, when you have your muscles around your uterus and they're tightening, what happens is as they tighten, they're going to get shorter. And what this does is this brings your muscles in your uterus up and out, basically. And then that along with the pressure of baby's head on the cervix is going to cause the cervix to thin out, which is effacement, and then dilate eventually, which is to open up so that baby can come out. So that's what's going on in every contraction as they get more intense and they progress through your labor so that baby can come out eventually. So that's kind of what's going on. Now your cervix, on the other hand, is at the bottom where baby's head is against. And like I said, the cervix is going to thin out during those contractions and then also start to open. And so I like to picture the cervix describe the cervix as a rose or another blossoming flower. So picture a rose that is completely closed. It hasn't blossomed at all yet. And that's what your cervix is like when it's closed. And then as your contractions get more consistent and stronger, and those muscles are tightening and coming up, they're growing shorter, and their baby's putting pressure on that cervix, it's going to cause the cervix to start to pull away and thin and open. So that's kind of what's going to be going on with your cervix, and eventually it's going to go from a closed blossom until a full rose, big pretty blossom, and that's the 10 centimeters that we need to get to in order to push baby out. Okay, so like I said, you're gonna have those Braxton Hicks coming up to labor, but then now once labor starts, we're in early labor. This is 0 centimeters to 3 centimeters. So this is that closed rose to just about 3 centimeters open. It's just starting to open. and this is early labor. And even though this is the longest phase of your labor usually, this is also the easiest. So what these contractions are gonna feel like is menstrual cramps, maybe like a lower back ache, but pretty minor. Even just a tightening in your abdomen, maybe some pressure in your pelvic area. Those are kind of the feelings that women are going to describe, but basically just kind of those period symptoms you normally get, and maybe a little more severe than a period depending on your symptoms. But this is going to get us from 0 to 3 centimeters. And honestly, some women get to 3 centimeters before they even realize they're having contractions. So these are going to be, you're going to be able to talk through these. They're going to be easy to manage. So what you should be doing in early labor is, first of all, staying hydrated, because as labor progresses, you're not going to want to drink very much water, and you're going to need water to get through your labor. So I really highly recommend resting as much as you can so that you have energy. I recommend drinking as much water as you can, and then also snacking if you can, so that we have energy and we have some nutrients in us to get through labor as well, because like I said, you're not going to want to be eating and drinking later on as labor goes. So rest, make sure your hospital bag is packed. I also like to take a shower and shave during early labor. So once I kind of know labor's going on, I usually get cleaned up, make sure that we're all packed up, ready to go in labor at home during this time by resting and staying hydrated. How I'm describing these contractions and what they're gonna feel like and how long they are and the breaks and all those things, I'm going off of a very spontaneous labor. So this is when you go into labor on your own and you're not medicated yet. So if you're facing induction or you're going to be induced, when you're induced, these contractions are probably going to feel a little bit different. And the main difference is that they're going to be stronger and more intense and possibly even closer together much earlier on in labor than if you went in spontaneously. So that's kind of the big difference. But as far as what the contractions are going to feel like as I'm describing them, it's going to be more based on a spontaneous labor. So now we're in active labor. We've made it through that early labor phase, and now we're getting from 3 centimeters to 7 centimeters. So that rose is starting to open even more. You can kind of picture it and visualize it. You want to see this 3 centimeters to 7 centimeters. So we're starting to just see that blossom grow and grow, and we're actually starting to see the rose, and it's starting to look beautiful. And that's what's going to happen in this active labor phase. So these contractions are going to be more intense for sure. They're going to be longer, about 60 seconds in length, and then they're going to be about 3 to 5 minutes apart-ish. So like I said, this really depends per woman, but that's kind of what you can expect during this time as far as the timing goes. And you're going to be picturing those waves. These waves are going to be bigger, the surges are going to be stronger, but then you always are going to want to treasure your breaks. Know that with every contraction, all you need to worry about is that one contraction, get through that one contraction, and don't think about any more after that. So as you're thinking about your contraction, you're going to visualize that wave, and then once it breaks and it starts to wash away, that's your chance to rest and relax. And don't even prep yourself for the next contraction yet, just treasure your breaks. Now, during this phase of labor, you're gonna have those back aches as well. You can have pretty intense back pain at this point. Like I said, you're gonna be feeling intense menstrual type cramps during these contractions. Things you're gonna wanna do during your active phase of labor is you're going to want to be as active as possible. So we wanna keep labor progressing, because obviously we want labor as short as possible, right? Who does it? So make sure you're walking if you can. Using a birthing ball is excellent way. I have a video on that right here. This one I go into, how to induce labor with a birthing ball, but these movements are gonna be excellent for when you're in labor as well. So check that out. But birthing ball, different positions, using gravity is your #1 natural resource, basically, for having a faster labor. So the more you can stay in the squat, walk position, the birthing ball positions, the faster your labor is gonna progress. So keep changing those positions, sip on some water, ice chips, ice packs. Make sure you're staying warm. Like I mentioned, we need to make sure that we stay warm during labor, because if we're chilly and we get those shivers, that's actually going to create tension in our body. So make sure you're staying warm. Using your birthing robe or a blanket, any of those types of things are all going to be excellent ways to manage these contractions in active phase. Okay, so now we're in transition, and this is getting us from 7 centimeters to 10 centimeters. So this is where the rose is going to be fully opening. And this is obviously the hardest phase of labor to get through, but it's also the shortest. and that is totally on purpose by design. So if you start to feel like you want to escape, if you feel like you can't do this, those types of feelings are going to be key signs to your birth team that baby is right around the corner. So these transition contractions are going to be 60 to 90 seconds long, and then you're only going to be getting like 30-second to 2-minute long breaks. So they're pretty much going to feel like they're right on top of each other. So treasure the down parts of the contractions as much as you can in order to get through each one. And then these are going to feel like very intense menstrual cramps. You also may start to feel a lot of rectal pressure because, like I said, baby's right around the corner. He or she is really coming down, and you're going to start to feel that pressure down there. You also may hear about the ring of fire, which I won't really delve into in this video. I can do another video on that if you guys would like. Let me know in the comments below. But the ring of fire is basically when you're kind of fully stretched out in the vagina as baby's head starts to crown. And a lot of women kind of describe it as like a burning sensation almost. And I definitely felt this in my labors, but then I also know that baby's head has been applying pressure for so long that my whole perineum area, which is the space between the vagina and the anus, is pretty numb at this point just because it's had pressure on it for so long. So don't be too stressed out about the ring of fire and all these things. This whole phase of labor is so instinctual. Like your body is just going to take over. So surrender yourself during the transition phase. Really just hone in and listen to your body. Keep distractions and noise and talking to a minimum in your birth team so that you can just zone in on your body and your baby. Listen to what your body is telling you to do. Follow your urge to push, and then we can kind of go into pushing in another video, but this is when you're gonna start to actually feel baby to come out as well. So in this transition phase, we're gonna be inhaling through the nose, and then I recommend to breathe baby out instead of just pushing with all your might and holding your breath, to focus that internal breath, and as you exhale, breathe baby down and out. So that's kind of working with your body. Like I said, your uterus is gonna be in charge of this whole process. So just listen to your contractions and your body and what it's telling you. Like I said, it's gonna be so instinctual. So this whole phase of labor is intense, but it's very short-lived, and pretty soon you're gonna have baby right in your arms. So in case you missed it, those are what contractions are feeling like, and those are what contractions are going to be doing to your body throughout the labor and delivery process. If you haven't grabbed my free labor and delivery course below, grab that now. It's in the description along with my pregnancy guides. They're totally free. Also, like I said, if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. I would love to have you as a part of this mama tribe that's growing, and this helps to create this free content for you guys, but then it also helps other new mamas find this free content as well. So it really helps me out. If you can drop a comment below, let me know what was your biggest takeaway, what was your biggest point that you learned that you didn't know about, what was gonna help you get through your labor, and feel free to come back and share your birth story in the comments below also. But I hope this was super helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video.